Picture the scene in Miami. Brazil have just dismantled Scotland, and the first reporter up from ESPN reaches for an old Brazilian saying about coaches who shuffle a lineup and watch everything click. The phrase is that the coach found his team, and he means found in the truest sense, not stumbling into luck, but actually discovering the right pieces. Watching the way Brazil carried themselves against Scotland, the reporter says, "You walk away convinced of one thing, that Carlo Ancelotti has finally landed on his ideal World Cup formation." Then he politely says thank you and hands the floor to the boss. Ancelotti, ever the cool customer, will not commit. He shrugs that he is not even sure about his starting 11, because the talent stacked on his bench is almost embarrassing. What he will say is that this Brazil is finally playing solid. He keeps circling back to that word, solid, like a man who has seen enough chaos for one lifetime. Compared with that shaky opener, he points to fewer giveaways on the ball, more rhythm, and a sharper edge in the final third. 2 games on from the Morocco draw, the vibe is good. Brazil opened with that stalemate, then rattled off back-to-back 3-0 wins over Haiti and Scotland. The mission was to top the group, and mission accomplished. But Ancelotti reaches for a very Brazilian phrase about keeping your feet on the ground. Stay grounded, keep working, prepare the next one. Then a reporter from SBT steps in with a question nobody saw coming. He promises there will be plenty about the match and about Neymar later. But first, he wants to ask about a moment that set Brazil ablaze online. It happened during the national anthem. The broadcast camera caught Ancelotti himself singing along, word for word, and it moved an entire country. The reporter wants to know whether the Italian had actually been rehearsing the Brazilian anthem, because honestly, it looked beautiful on screen. Ancelotti smiles and admits he already knows 2 anthems by heart. One of them is the Italian anthem, naturally. The Brazilian one, he confesses, is genuinely tough to learn. So he simply read the words off the screen and sang anyway. And here is the part that lands. He says he loves to sing and that right now he feels honored to be a part of this country. A 66-year-old Italian, heart on his sleeve, owning the moment. Next up, a voice from Radio Itatiaia with another favorite Brazilian idea. When a team plays the way the coach likes, people say the team wears the coach's face. So the question is simple. Does this Brazil already wear Ancelotti's face? His answer is measured. They are playing as one unit now, and that is the goal, but he refuses to call them perfect. He even hands out a homework note. The speed of the ball when they control a game could be a touch quicker. Still, he is thrilled with how far they have come since that opening night. Now they look solid. And solidity, he stresses, is everything once the knockout rounds arrive. Then, a reporter from Folha de São Paulo wants to change lanes. He points out that Ancelotti has spent days fielding questions about Endrick and about Neymar. So instead, he asks about Vinicius Jr., who has had a hand in 6 or 7 of Brazil's goals. He has been the standout of the whole tournament. Is this exactly what Ancelotti pictured? And how far can he go? Ancelotti lights up. Vinicius is in superb condition, and the system itself helps him. When Brazil have the ball, the shape lets Vini rest. He does not grind without it, so he stays fresh for the moments that matter. Then comes the tactical gold. The freedom to drift wide or cut inside is a genuine weapon for him. Because tucked inside, he needs fewer touches to turn a move into a goal. It is the kind of detail only a coaching lifer notices. For context, Vinicius is 25. And under Ancelotti, his Brazil form has been completely reborn. 6 goals in 39 games under previous coaches, then 7 in just 13 under his old Real Madrid boss. Night and day. After a brief shuffle of microphones, a reporter from a fan channel grabs the mic. He says the team improved in Game 1, evolved in Game 2, and arrived in full tonight. So does this new confidence mean Brazil are ready for the heavyweights? He name drops France, Argentina, Germany, all the giants. Ancelotti gently shuts it down. Right now, he says, they are not facing France or Argentina. They face one specific team, And that is where all the focus goes. Whoever it is will make it brutally hard. It has to be prepared properly, because the math has changed. This is knockout football now, and as he puts it, knockout football demands a strong heart. TV Globo is next, asking about Ryan, the teenager picked to cover for the injured Rafinha. There is a quick mix-up over who is asking from where. The usual press room chaos. Then the real question. Ancelotti chose Ryan as Rafinha's stand-in, so what did he make of the kid? A young player who showed real personality and did exactly what was asked. Should he keep the shirt? Ancelotti is glowing. He says Ryan did a complete job, defensively and offensively, and played beautifully. He is genuinely delighted with the performance the youngster put in. Being young is part of the magic, he adds. Yet the boy already has maturity, work rate, and quality. And the kicker, nobody yet knows how high his ceiling really is. Next, a reporter from a Moringa media group goes somewhere different. He says that until tonight, there was real distrust around this team. Fans found everything they saw a little off. But tonight, the mood flipped. The change is obvious in the buzz rolling across social media. He notes a very Brazilian rule. In Brazil, it is either 8 or 8,000, all or nothing. So, if Ancelotti could gather 200 million Brazilians in one room, what would he tell them? Ancelotti's answer is one perfect word: calm. Easy now, he says. Just stay calm. Then a reporter from Lance gets a little more personal with the boss. He reminds everyone that since Ancelotti took the Brazil job, the single most repeated question was about Neymar. And tonight, at last, the coach could actually send Neymar onto the pitch. He asks the manager to talk about that long-awaited return. Ancelotti keeps it warm and honest. Neymar earned the chance, he says, because he worked and trained to recover with real seriousness and professionalism. At a World Cup, with his quality, he gives something extra to the group, even in just a handful of minutes. For perspective, this was Neymar's first Brazil appearance in 3 years, 981 days without the yellow shirt. That is not a layoff, that is an odyssey. An Italian reporter then asks whether this Brazil resembles his ideal. Ancelotti says there is always room to grow. He is happy with the step forward, but insists there is still plenty to improve. Then Correio Brasiliense drops a stat. Ancelotti is the first coach in 60 years to start a 19-year-old from the opening whistle, in this case, Ryan. The reporter asks about the value of youth, the vitality, the intensity, and also about 2 straight clean sheets. Ancelotti leans in. Youth brings enthusiasm and raw energy. A veteran brings other things, experience, and a deep read of the position. The trick is the blend. A young gun like Ryan with the nerve to start at 19. At a World Cup, wearing the Brazil shirt, no less. That, the coach says, is huge for the boy. It signals personality, character, and seriousness. Then a reporter circles back to the big subject, Neymar, and the chatter in Spain about his age. It is, after all, Neymar's first World Cup at 34, with all the experience that brings. If he looks this motivated, almost obsessed, the reporter asks, what can Ancelotti even say about him? The answer is blunt and beautiful. Neymar does not need any motivation. No player, he says, needs extra motivation to play. Not when you pull on the Brazil shirt. And Neymar is exactly the same. 34 years old, and still a kid out there playing the game he loves. Then a new voice joins. A reporter from a Brazilian MLS outlet says that before this game, people claimed the players lacked desire. Plenty of intensity, sure, but at times that final ounce of want seemed missing. Tonight was the opposite. He points to the second goal, a ball won back by Bruno Guimaraes and Lucas Paqueta. Did the will really used to be missing, or was it always there? And what about Matheus Cunha's excellent night? Ancelotti pushes back firmly. Desire and attitude, he says, never once failed this group. Other things failed, mostly quality in possession. The attitude was never the problem. The proof is in the goals. So many of them born from balls stolen high up the pitch. Even in friendlies against Egypt and Panama, the same story: win it back, then punish you. That is attitude. Then a reporter from Venezuela touches the open wound. It has been 24 years since Brazil's last title. How does Ancelotti handle that drought with the group, the psychology of the long wait? Or is it actually fuel? Ancelotti frames it as motivation, plain and simple. A nation this hungry, this capable, dreaming again, all to make the Brazilian people happy. A reporter beaming in from Nigeria reminds everyone that Brazil is one of football's great nations. And great football nations do not just want to win, they want to witness great games. He says he spoke to fans before kickoff, and so many of them adore the manager. Tonight Brazil went from drawing the opener to winning this one in style. So did Ancelotti meet the expectations, on results and on the show. His reply is a masterclass in priorities. Brazil have worked to play the best they can. But playing well, he says, is not the objective. Playing well only makes winning easier. The objective is to win, full stop. A coach is judged on one thing only: win or lose. It does not matter how pretty the football is. Win the World Cup, and history says you played beautifully. Lose it, and history says you were dreadful. He understands that brutal logic completely. Still, he is satisfied because the team is genuinely getting better. And he loves to talk about the collective, not the individuals. Sure, Brazil have a roster full of stars, but what he truly loves to talk about is attitude and how the team functions as one. Then a reporter from Rio de Janeiro steps up. He even tells Ancelotti he is a fan. The next opponent will be the Netherlands, Japan, or Sweden. He asks whether the difficulty is about to spike against whoever emerges. Ancelotti does not hesitate. Yes, without a doubt. All three possible opponents bring serious quality, each in a different flavor. The Netherlands are more experienced than Japan, he notes, but Japan turned heads with some gorgeous results in the friendlies before the tournament. And Sweden carry real threat up front. He shrugs. They will see tomorrow who comes through. Then Ban News jumps in. The reporter has already heard about Vinicius and positioning, but wants something else. How satisfying is it to see Vini arrive at this World Cup at peak physical and technical level? Especially a player who has worked with Ancelotti for so long. The coach offers a surprising twist. It is not really satisfying, he says, because he never doubted for a second how good Vini would be when he got here. It is an honor for Vini to wear the shirt, and he is delivering. He even scored with his head tonight, which is genuinely rare for him. And then the line of the night. Ancelotti says it is simply not his job to discover Vinicius. Because to him, Vini is already a top player, one of the very best on the planet. And that wraps the full Ancelotti press conference after Brazil's 3-0 win over Scotland. There was a lot to unpack here, so let us slow down on the moments that actually mattered. First, the idea of a coach finding his team. When asked if he had locked in Brazil's ideal formation, Ancelotti was refreshingly direct. The side is playing solid, with fewer errors on the ball and more bite up top. Most importantly, the goal of finishing first in the group was achieved, which is huge for Brazil's road ahead. Topping Group C with 7 points hands them a far friendlier path through the bracket. But the moment that hit hardest in the whole presser was the national anthem. A journalist explained that the footage of Ancelotti singing the Brazilian anthem absolutely blew up back home. It moved a lot of people. And his answer was genuinely lovely. He knows 2 anthems, the Italian and now this one, which he finds hard. So he read the words carefully because he loves to sing and feels honored to be here. That is a beautifully human detail. It shows real respect for Brazilian culture. On the team's identity, his response was just as interesting. Asked whether the side already wears his face, he was honest. They play as a team, that is the aim, but they are not perfect yet. He flagged the ball tempo as a fix, praised the leap since Game 1, and hammered home solidity. With the knockout rounds now looming, that is the maturity of a man who has lived 1,000 big nights. Now, the Vinicius answer, which for the tactically curious was the richest part. Ancelotti explained exactly why Vini is thriving. The system lets him rest while Brazil hold the ball, and letting him float wide or drift inside is a real edge. Because from inside, he needs fewer touches to finish a move. That is pure coaching brain. And we cannot skip the praise he aimed at Matheus Cunha, calling out his complete game, defense and attack alike, and highlighting maturity well beyond his years. That kind of public nod helps a young player grow with confidence. Then we reached the topic the entire planet was waiting on. Neymar. Finally, back on the pitch. After being the most repeated question since Ancelotti took the job, the coach could finally speak about the real return. Neymar got the chance he deserved, having recovered with seriousness and professionalism, and he looked good in the few minutes he had. For the record, that was his first Brazil appearance in roughly 3 years, 981 days away. Another eye-opener was the Rayan history. Ancelotti is the first coach in 60 years. To start a player of just 19 from the opening whistle, he framed it as a sign of huge personality and character. That is courage from the coach, and an enormous credit to the kid. As for Neymar's motivation, at his age, Ancelotti was razor-sharp. He was categorical. No player needs extra motivation to wear the Brazil shirt, and Neymar still carries the joy of a child who simply loves football. Hard to argue with that. And when asked whether the team lacked desire, Ancelotti flatly disagreed, and rightly so. Desire and attitude never went missing in this group, and the proof is the pile of goals born from balls won back high up the field, showing the right mentality and a relentless recovery. There was also that line about 24 years without a title. He admitted the long wait works as real fuel, a beautiful obsession for a group that wants to make the Brazilian people happy. That is exactly the mindset this squad needs. He also dropped a brutally honest take on how he sees the job of a manager. He is judged only by the final result. Win the cup, and they played well. Lose it, and they played badly. No matter the real quality they showed on the grass. It is a ruthlessly pragmatic worldview, but it mirrors the reality of elite football. As for the next opponent, the Netherlands, Japan, or Sweden, he noted all three are wildly different, with the Dutch the most experienced, and Japan turning heads with strong results before the tournament. We will all be watching closely to learn who Brazil draw next. And to close it out, the prettiest moment of the whole presser, the crowning of Vini. Asked about that rare header, Ancelotti gave the most direct answer imaginable. It is not his job to discover Vinicius, because in his eyes Vini is already a top player, one of the best in the world. That one line says it all. The manager of a giant talking that way about Brazil's young star. Overall, this press conference showed an Ancelotti moved by Brazilian culture, proud of the team's tactical evolution, and supremely confident in the quality of Vinicius, Neymar, and even teenage Ryan. It was genuinely fun to watch. If this full breakdown hit the spot, the like and subscribe buttons are right there. Brazil have locked up first place. Now it is onward, toward the Hexa. Let us go.